Utah Safety Inspection Manual includes a section which deals with the inspection of a compressed natural gas or CNG powered vehicle. This video has been developed to assist Utah Safety Inspection personnel with the proper inspection procedures for compressed natural gas equipped vehicles. The video will outline the 7 items that will result in a reject of a CNG equipped vehicle. Specifically, number 1, check the fuel tank support straps, filler tube, be it plastic, rubber, or metal, tube clamps, fuel tank vent hoses or tubes, filler housing chain, overflow tube, filler cap, and conversion kit installations. Reject when there is fuel leakage at any point or escaping gases are detected in the system. An odor will be present. Number 2, the fuel tank filler cap or cover is missing. Number 3, any part of the system is not securely fastened, supported, or shielded to prevent damage from road hazards, slippage, loosening, or rotations. Number 4, there is any physical damage to a fuel system component. Number 5, there is any installation hazard present which may cause a potential hazard during a collision. Number 6, the vehicle is not labeled in accordance with National Fire Protection Association pamphlet number 52. Number 7, a CNG fuel container is not current on its certification in accordance with the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 304, which states tanks must be re-inspected by a CSA tank inspector every 3 years or 36,000 miles, whichever occurs first, or any time the CNG vehicle has sustained damage in an area where CNG components may have been compromised.
As a vehicle comes in to be safety inspected, the first thing, or one of the first things that you need to be aware of, is fuel leakage.
Detecting fuel leaks.
Something that's very critical at any point during the inspection. If you determine that there is a leak, you need to suspend the inspection, reject the vehicle, and it needs to be sent off for repair. Characteristics of natural gas. Natural gas is lighter than air. If there is a leak, it will dissipate into the atmosphere. Unlike LP gas, LP gas has the property to be able to go to the ground and pool, thus creating a very dangerous hazard down low. Natural gas actually dissipates into the atmosphere and is lighter than air. Remember, if you detect a leak, you need to suspend the inspection, reject the vehicle, and encourage the customer to send the vehicle to a certified CNG mechanic to effectuate repairs. When searching for a leak, you might have a sophisticated leak detector, but most of us use soapy water. A soapy water solution can be sprayed on any of the components to detect whether there's a leak. Natural gas is under such high pressure that you'll easily detect the bubbles as they bubble from a leak. Another way to detect a leak is to use a combustible gases sniffer. Just hold it close to the leak, and it will start doing its thing. Do not try to tighten those fittings yourself. Please try to get the customer to take the vehicle to a CNG certified mechanic for those type of repairs. Stop the inspection immediately and do not continue inspecting this vehicle until it has been repaired properly by a certified CNG mechanic for your own safety.
Due to inspector safety, anytime you discover a fuel leak, stop the inspection, reject the vehicle, and send the vehicle to a certified CNG mechanic. Fittings and fuel lines.
As you open the hood and begin to look at the components found there, look for any damage in the fuel lines. These fuel lines seem to all be intact. They aren't kinked. They're made out of stainless steel, very important. You look for other components. If they're not stainless steel, they will not handle the high pressures that CNG requires. You want to look for any kind of rubbing to see if they have been rubbed in an area, because these lines could chafe, rub, and the high pressure could easily cause a breach in the line. Besides rubbing and chafing, you want to make sure that the lines are secured to the vehicle, and many times they'll have the little tabs and brackets to be able to secure them to the vehicle. And make sure you can grab the things and make sure that they're good and secure, because the last thing you want is these things flopping around, especially under the high pressures. Can be a safety related issue.
Shut-off valves.
Other components on the vehicle, once you've determined that they're all intact under the hood and that there is no leaking, there should be, or on some vehicles, it's not required, but on some vehicles there are manual shut-off valves. And if there is a manual shut-off valve, should be clearly marked by signage. This particular shut-off valve, like many, is a quarter-turn valve. This will stop the natural gas from coming into the system, and it effectually isolates the tank from the rest of the system. So if you have a leak in this part of the system, you can safely isolate the tank from there. The signage for this shutoff, this is pretty typical on the left-hand side, and the shutoff valve, it will be a quarter-turn valve up underneath by the bed rail.
Filler caps and dust covers.
Filler caps need to have some sort of mechanism to keep the debris from getting into the actual filler tube itself. Some filler caps screw on the outside, but they all have one thing in common. They keep the debris from this area of the filler mechanism. On a Cavalier and other General Motors products, this is a good example of how they've incorporated the dust cover into the cap. It does not have a separate cap. The actual dust cover is this part of the door flap, and as it shuts, it covers up the filler port, and this meets the requirement. This is not a violation. This is actually the way that it was designed. Another example of a cap, this is Ford's cap that they use on their dust cover. Reject when the fuel cap or cover is missing.
Proper CNG labeling and signage.
We're going to talk about signage on the back of the CNG vehicle that identifies to law enforcement and to other people that this is actually a CNG vehicle. This is a violation of the rules. It's supposed to be on a vertical body panel above the bumper. Now we have a proper example of the CNG signage on a vertical body panel away from the bumper, and this is not in violation. This is a good example of signage on the vertical body panel rather than on the bumper. This is not in violation. This is a good one here.
Fuel lines, hoses, and tank certification.